Today's lesson is about three forms of quadratic functions. We have a standard form, intercept form, or you could say this is a factoring form, then vertex form. From standard form go to intercept form, you can just do factoring. If you cannot factor, then use this quadratic formula. From intercept form to standard form, that's pretty easy. You just do the for you. From intercept form, go to vertex form. Remember, this is the rule. H equals x1 plus x2 over 2. Then k equals f of h. From standard form, go to vertex form. Here is the formula. For quadratic functions, you have to know how to transfer from one form to the other form. Now let's go to practice. A quadratic function f can be written in the form of this factoring form. The graph of f has axis of symmetry x equals 2.5 and a y-intercept at 0, negative 6. Find the value of p. Since this h equals 2.5, and we know h equals x1 plus x2 over 2. We know the x1 equals p and x2 equals 3. So we can set up 2.5 equals, this is for a, p plus 3 over 2. Then multiply by 2 both sides. I got the 5 equals p plus 3. So we got the p equals 2. For b, find the value of a. We're using the y-intercept, that's 0, negative 6. Basically, we plug into this form, f of x equals a. We already got the p equals 2, so x minus 2, x minus 3. Then we plug in x equals 0 and y equals negative 6. F of x, that means y, so we got negative 6 equals a. 0 minus 2 and 0 minus 3. So we got 6a equals negative 6. A equals negative 1. Now let's go to say. The line y equals kx plus 5 is a tangent to the curve of f. Find the values of k. First of all, we know tangent line, that's a derivative. So we already got this function that is negative x minus 2 times x minus 3. We do the for you, you get the x squared minus 5x plus 6. Then we do distributive property. You got negative x squared plus 5x minus 6. Since y equals kx plus 5 is a tangent line, we got to do derivative for this function. You will get negative 2x plus 5. Then compare, that is you have y equals kx plus 5. Then we know that k equals negative 2. That's the value of k, negative 2. Let's go to number 2. Consider f of x equals x squared plus qx plus r. The graph of f has a minimum value when x equals negative 1.5, which means h equals negative 1.5. Then we got the distance between the two zeros of f is 9. The meaning for that is x1 minus x2 equals 9. We know that h equals x1 plus x2 over 2. So we plug in h equals negative 1.5 equals x1 plus x2 over 2. Multiply by 2 both sides, we got negative 3 equals x1 plus x2. Now we got x1 minus x2 equals 9. And x1 plus x2 equals negative 3. So we solve this system equation. I add together. You will get 2x1 equals 6. So x1 equals 3. Therefore, your x2 equals negative 3 minus 3. You get negative 6. That's we finish proving for A. Show the two zeros are 3 and negative 6. For B, we need to figure out the value Q and R. The sum of two roots, that equals negative B over A. And the product of two roots equals C over A. From given information, A equals 1, B equals Q, and C equals R. Therefore, x1 plus x2, we already got the negative 3 equals, that will be negative Q over 1, that's negative Q. So we got Q equals 3. And x1 times x2, that is 3 times negative 6 equals, say that's R over 1. So basically the R equals negative 18. So we finish for the B. Q equals 3 and R equals negative 18. Let's go to number 3. Let f of x equals 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. For A, express the function in the form of this one, that's vertex form. So we know A equals 2 and B equals 4. C equals negative 6. And H equals negative B over 2A. So we got negative 4 over 2 times 2. You get negative 1. So K equals f of H, that's negative 1. So I plug in 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 6. You will get negative 8. Therefore, for A, I can write down f of x equals 8 still 2, x plus 1 squared minus 8. For B, we need the equation of the axis of symmetry of the graph of f. That means x equals h. which means x equals -1. This is the axis of symmetry. For C, we need this factor form. Therefore, for f of x, 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Common factor is 2. We got the x squared plus 2x minus 3. Then I factor this. You will get the x plus 3 and x minus 1. This is a factoring form. For number 4, the x-intercept of a quadratic function is this. So we got the x1 equals -4, x2 equals 6. And the y-intercept is this one. Write down the fx in the form of this form. That's a factoring form. So we got the f of x equals -10. Then x, p will be x1 plus 4 times x minus 6. Then for B, this is for A. For B, find another form that is a vertex form. So we know that H equals x1 plus x2 over 2. You will get -4 plus 6 over 2 equals 1. Then for K equals f of 1, plug in. You will get, unplug into this function. You will get -10 times 1 plus 4. Then it's 1 minus 6. So we get -10 times 5 times -5. That is 250. Therefore, the vertex form, you will get the y equals -10. X minus 1 squared plus 250. For C, write down the standard form f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. We have two ways to do that. You can do, for this one, do the FOIL, then do distributive property. Or you can expand this one, then do distributive property plus 250. It's really up to you. Let me work on this part. So we got -10. This is x squared minus 2x plus 1. Then plus 250. So we got -10x squared plus 20x minus 10 plus 250. Then we combine like terms. We got -10x squared plus 20x plus 240. This will be the standard form. Now let's go to D. A particle moves along a straight line so that its velocity v at time t second is given by this function for t between 0 to 6. Find the value of t when the speed of a particle is greatest. Look at this function. It's the same as this function. In other words, it's same as this function. We're looking for the speed is greatest. Basically, that's a hk. We know the h equals 1 and a k equals 250. In other words, t equals 1 and then the velocity equals 250. Therefore, for D, t equals 1 will be the answer. Let's go to E. Find the acceleration of the particle when its speed is 0. Acceleration, basically, that's a derivative of this speed. So we're looking for the derivative of this speed. You will get 240, we do derivative, plus 20t do the derivative, minus 10t squared, we do derivative. Work that out. This is gone. We got the 20 minus 20t. This is acceleration. We use a stand for that. When its speed is 0, we want to figure out speed equals 0, we have to solve for this t. We set up this function, 240 plus 20t minus 10t squared equal to 0. For this solution, we already got from here the given information. We got the t equals -4 or t equals 6. But t cannot be negative, therefore only t equals 6. We got the velocity equals 0. Therefore, for acceleration, we just plug in t equals 6 now. 20 minus 20 times 6, you will get -100. That will be the acceleration. Therefore, -100, that will be the acceleration of the particle when its speed is 0.